Good
Hello,
morning,
everyone.
everyone.
I thought I was going first today, Anna. Come
Hi,
on.
Jim. We go together.
Okay, well, this is live with Jim and Anna. And Anna, where are you today? My
Well,
goodness, it
it's a
looks calm.
secret location
A
up in
secret location, undisclosed. Okay.
the
Well,
mountains.
I disclosed mine for the first time on Facebook. So a lot of the people that follow me on Facebook, if they were watching it in the last hour, saw where I checked in from. But for those of you that didn't check, I'm in Santa Monica near Beverly Hills
There you
because my
go.
next appointment is really close to this location. And let's get to the questions.
Are you going first?
Well, I'll go first by asking you a question.
All right. Let's do it.
Is it better to put tips in an IRA versus a taxable account? And first of all, please define what tips are because it's not as a waiter.
TIPS are types of bonds that are the short. It's a short acronym for Treasury Inflated Protected Securities. And so, Jim, to answer your question, whether it's better to put it in a taxable account versus an IRA, let me just explain the taxation of these particular bonds. And then from there, we can draw the conclusion where it makes more sense to put it. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. So when tips are held in non-retirement account or a taxable account, they're taxed every year two ways. So the first component of the return you get on tips is interest. Just like any bond, it pays an interest. Okay? And the second piece of it is the amount that is added to your to the principal of the bond. It's called an inflation adjustment. Okay, so there's two pieces. There is the annual return and that adjustment for inflation. Now, you pay federal taxes on this adjusted inflation piece, even though technically you don't sell the bonds and you're not supposed to get that piece of the return until the very end. Or if these bonds were, for example, in mutual funds or there were in exchange traded funds. Okay, so now I hope you see in the trend so that you get two pieces of return. Now, if you held this type of a security in the taxable account, then you would have to pay taxes on these two pieces every year at the end of the year. So just from that, I already can conclude that putting these in non-retirement accounts, IRAs or Roth IRAs, would be a better solution. Now, going to choose between tips as just individual bonds or picking an exchange traded fund that represents a variety of these or mutual funds, I would probably suggest going with exchange traded funds, because one of the other pieces that's interesting about tips is that this interest payment that's being paid is not automatically reinvested. And so if you have just an individual bond, you constantly have to pay attention to that. But when you have an exchange traded fund or a mutual fund, that component of automatically reinvested is taken care of. So I conclude that tips are better held in retirement type of accounts, IRAs, Roth IRAs, and so forth.
Okay. Can you mention one more thing? How about taxation at the state level where you have to pay state income taxes?
I think the taxation is the same as the federal. That's my understanding.
Really? Well,
do you have something else?
Usually there's reciprocity between governmental entities. So when you have a municipal bond, they're never taxed at the federal level.
Jim, we're talking about treasuries, not municipal bonds.
Okay, let me finish, Anna, please.
Okay. All right, sure.
So there's reciprocity. So municipal bonds are not taxed at the federal level, and federal bonds are not taxed at the state level. That's the reciprocity. So treasuries are not taxed at state level when you have a state income tax. So there is a little benefit of tips in a taxable account It probably doesn't change your recommendation, but there is a little bonus there. Okay, just wanted to point that out.
Okay, great. I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay, just not to confuse. Okay, well, there you go. Now I've got a question for you.
Now you're going to confuse me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay, I've made a lot of money this year. My AGI is 200,000. AGI is an adjusted gross income.
Anna, don't give that away.
It's a question.
Oh, this is from a client. This is from a client. Okay.
I know, it's a question. Okay, so
okay, go ahead.
adjusted gross income is 200,000.
Uh-huh.
How can I put money in a Roth IRA?
Well, it's a complex question, and it brings up a concept that people can Google because there's a lot of articles on it called backdoor Roth IRA. If someone is married and their adjusted gross income is above modified adjusted gross income, which is pretty close to the number on the bottom of the front page of your tax return, which is your adjusted gross income. A few things get put back in, but they're pretty esoteric to be modified adjusted gross income, but the numbers are similar. So if it's above 183 on your tax return, you're not eligible to do a Roth IRA directly. So how can you do it? Well, you can convert an IRA to a Roth IRA and pay taxes on it if it's pre-tax money. But some people aren't authorized to do deductible IRAs anymore because either their income's too high or they already participate in a retirement plan. However, you can do a non-deductible IRA even if you have a retirement plan or you don't have a retirement plan, and you can convert it soon or the next year. I prefer the next year, but you can do it sooner, into a Roth IRA. And if it was after-tax money that you put in and didn't deduct it, then there's no income tax due, except, a big except, which is why you need to read the article, and I can't only briefly discuss it here. If you have other IRAs, you as the individual, because IRA is an individual thing, so it's not the couple, it's the individual. If you have other IRAs, you take that into consideration. So the people that do the backdoor Roth IRAs the best are high-income people with no other IRAs. They do a non-deductible IRA and then convert it into a Roth IRA. And this is because of a law change in the year 2010, because the Treasury Department wanted more people to pay current taxes rather than postpone them in retirement accounts. That's as brief as I can be. Okay?
Sounds good. So there's a backdoor Roth IRA. Okay. I'm ready for my second question, Jim. Let's make sure that we don't have questions from our viewers.
Okay, because there is
just a reminder, when you're looking at us on the screen, left-hand side corner, bottom left, there's a little link that says join in the conversation, and we have room for one question, I think. Doesn't look like I've got anything, so go ahead, Jim.
Okay, I'm in my 50s. Okay. The police said I have to move, Anna. So here's the question. I'm in my 50s. If I should receive an inheritance before I turn 67, and the bulk of the inheritance is in the person's IRA, do I have to continue taking her RMD?
Good
okay,
question,
I have to go, Anna. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, Jim, I'm going to finish the question. Wow, this is what we have to deal with. Okay, so the answer to the question is, well, first of all, the taxation of the monies that's coming out of these accounts, and so if you're inheriting an IRA account, it's going to be taxed at your current rate. So there isn't a change there in the tax rate, so ordinary income tax rates. But you may be able to defer these RMDs until you are 70 and a half. And so that depends on whether you inherited these accounts from a spouse or someone else. So let's say you inherited these accounts from a spouse who is under 70 and a half. So that means there's something special happens at 70 and a half. And that is when our government wants you to start taking out required minimum distributions out of retirement accounts, such as 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, and so forth. So up until then, it's not required. Roth IRAs are exempt. So if the person from whom you inherited these accounts has not reached age 70 and a half, that means they haven't started taking these RMDs. So that means that you can assume this particular, let's say it's one IRA that you inherited, you can assume it, and then that becomes your IRA. And so that way you can actually, accumulate a couple more years of keeping it in your own name. And if you're younger, that means you don't have to take required minimum distributions. Now, let's say, I think reading between the lines in this question, I think the inheritance may come from parents. And so my assumption is that parents will be older than 70 and a half, and therefore they have already started these required minimum distributions. So that means that you're going to have to continue taking these distributions based on your life expectancy, not your parents. So that gives you a little extra as far as how much, meaning just you take less amount than what your parents were taking, but still you're going to have to continue taking those withdrawals. So it's not a way to avoid it. I'm going to post, there's a very nice table I found that IRS put out about these required minimum distributions, and so check it out. I'm going to have it under actually our video. I think I can do it on, if not, I can email it to you all guys directly. Well, I think I don't, Jim is, oh gosh, okay. Well, I answered my question.
I'm out of custody now.
You are going to cause us trouble, Jim.
Well, the police didn't want me to park where I'm doing because today is street cleaning in Santa Monica. And so I didn't want a big ticket. So I'm now in the middle of the street where he said I can park for 15 or 20 minutes. So there you go. Okay,
well, we've got 1 minute or 2 minutes, so you can answer a question.
You got a quick question for me?
Quick question, yes. My broker is pitching me a 2.5 5-year CD, 2.5 interest rate 5-year CD. Is that a good deal? Wow, it seems like a good deal.
Are you answering the question, Anna?
I'm just wondering. What do you think, Jim?
Well, if someone was really conservative, that would be an okay deal. Also, if someone was very aggressive later on, they could cash in the CD early, forego the interest, because you don't lose your principal when you cash in a CD early. You only lose the sum or all of the interest, and go do something else with your money. So overall, you would get 2.5% a year for 5 years. You can kind of do the math on that. And if you could 2 years from now find something that would make up the difference for the interest you lost by cashing in early, and it was a nice safe bet too, then it would be a good thing to do. So I'll be answering this client back who sent in the question by saying, go ahead and do it. And a couple of years from now, if interest rates are higher and there's other safe bets that we can make, or safe investments, not bets, but safe investments that we can do and make up for any interest rate loss by cashing in early, we'll go ahead and do it. So I like that 2.5% 5-year CD. And for clients that are risk adverse, but might want to be able to take care of rising interest rates later on, they will have that option. There you go.
That's why I kind of jumped and said, wow, seems like a good deal, because 2.5% is not something you can get easily these days without market risk, right? Stock market risk or even bond market risk.
Well, we'll see what the Federal Reserve does in the next year.
Right. But do you know if there's a penalty to cash in the CD other than just losing the rate that you're going to gain in the future?
No, the only penalty for CDs are loss of interest.
Okay.
It depends upon how much by the person, the bank that's issuing it.
Okay. And we don't know which bank it is. Okay. Just wondering. Okay. All right, Jim. Well, it looks like you're not in trouble anymore, so we can conclude our session together.
Thank you, because I'm free to go. In 15 minutes, I have to be at the next appointment. We'll
All
see
right.
everybody later. And
See you.
if you're my clients at 10 o'clock this morning, don't worry, I'm not in custody.
No, you're not in custody. Okay, good. Everybody heard that. All right. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll be back next month.